Hey, hey, my medical coding family. How's everybody doing today? Just setting up the live now. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Hey, Tasha. Hey, Christy. Davis. How's everybody doing? Nanners, Happy, Victoria, you guys are all here. Let me bring up our Word document for today. Let's see. Let me get TikTok involved. You guys, if your screen view is not what you want it to be, I am streaming live on YouTube also. So there is a better view on YouTube in case you want to hop over there. Plus, we will have a contest to give away some YouTube memberships in chat. So if you happen to be inside the YouTube chat, you'll be able to get in on that contest. But I am trying to stream from my cell phone to a desktop computer screen so that you guys can see the questions too here on TikTok. But hopefully that works for both guys. All right, and let me bring up the chat for, yep. Hey Jim, good to see you. Hey Madness. Hey Cynthia. Oh, I'm so happy. Yes, cardio. No worries, Cynthia. Let's see, Christy, I enjoy being inside. And it's raining here. Oh, wow. You want to go over consults for E&M. So for consultations, if you don't see inside the exam question that the doctor that is seeing the patient is also commenting that they are writing a letter back to the primary care physician with their recommendations on how to take care of that patient, then it is not a consult. Most things during the certification exam are not a consultation at all. Usually they're just taking over care or they're consulting before an admission. If you do a consultation before a patient is admitted, then that is a subsequent hospital visit when you bill it. It gets crazy with all the guidelines involved and all that. So best case is to never pick consultation as your correct answer during your certification exam unless you specifically see inside the exam question that that doctor wrote a letter back to the primary care physician. You have to see three things in the exam question: that the primary care physician asked for a consultation, then you see the consultation being done, and then you see the consultation being written out as advice and a letter being given back to another physician who's going to take care of that patient with those recommendations. Is somebody fixing to take their exam? Go in for my first and hopefully my last attempt tomorrow. Oh my goodness. Yes, best of luck, Happy. You've participated in a ton of the lives, for sure. If we were doing this exam question just from looking at the process of looking for similarities, right? We would know that A and D are the two that are similar, right? We would get rid of B and C because they're not the same numbers for the first code. The only difference is this 20 or the O2. Now, if you wanted to be brave and just use the process of elimination and just look for similarities, I would pick D as my answer, just simply because two reasons. The second code is cheaper than the second code in A because it's a smaller number. And then also the O2 number is right here in answer B that we already threw away. And just because of those two reasons, I would pick D and move on to my next question and not read anything in the exam question or look into what all these codes are doing. If you look up every single code here, the 41, the 43, the 44, the 20s, the O2s, the 30s, the 63s, the 64s, the 23s, and you go look up your differences between your modifiers, 51s and 59s, you're going to spend 10 minutes with this question. You only have 120 seconds per question to pick out your correct answer. So learning some of these processes is super helpful, but if you're too scared to pick out the cheapest one or just only use the process of elimination, let's go look at our codes and see if we can't cut down our exam testing time with a few little easy tricks. If we do go to our 33244, I'm looking. I got 43. How do you access AAPC practice exams to study once you take them? What is your question? How do you access the AAPC practice study questions once you take them? The point is to practice them inside the testing area. The that way you get familiar with your testing area, but let's go to AAPC, and if I am to log on there, and go to a practice exam question set, in my account, you know how we do that. We go over here, we go to exams, go down here, and pick out one to take real quick. We could do these set of questions right here. And we start our exam. And then we hit ready to begin. Sometimes there's a weird quirk in their system. Just start it again. Just because they're crazy. It says I've timed out, but I haven't even started the exam out yet, so I just ignore it and go to my exam question. So we're in our exam question here, and you know, if you just click one and pick your answer, are we 40 or 42? I think it's the 42 is our answer. Submit that page. Let's pretend we did all 10 questions and we want to submit our exam. We submit it. And then if you want to view your results, you click View Results, then you show the correct answer and show the feedback. Then you've got your exam questions here with your answers and rationale. If you wanted to do anything with this, maybe you could print screen it like this, and then that would save it as a print screen, as a snippet, but it would be like that, where you snipped it and then you saved it onto a Word drive or something like that. But they try very hard to keep these from being accessed and copied. There's of course these little things that you can download into your Google Chrome thing. So it's an extension. If you click on that and you enable or download a mouse thing that will enable your copy and unblock mode, you can download some sort of extension to Chrome that will turn on, that you could turn on, and then you would be able to right click and copy the question like normal, like we used to be able to do, and then you could copy it like this, hit the copy button now that you've added that extension to your device. Then we could go back to our Word document for today, and you know, we have this practice question right here, but if I was to want to make a copy of that question that was on the practice exam, now I could right click and paste it here with the answer and rationale, and then I could play with it later. But you had to add an extension to your Google Chrome, but you know, I mean, if you technically wanted to know why. But back to our answer to our question for this one was D. You just need to be a little bit of tech savvy if you want to go into the practice questions and you want to copy them and you want to use them afterwards. But the point of those practice questions in AAPC's website, when you purchase them and you do them, is to do them inside the site. But hopefully that is super helpful to you. It takes you a full 120 minutes to answer 25 questions per chapter. Oh no! Well, like if we did this one with the process of looking for similarities and irregularities and stuff like that, you know, I picked out the answer D for this one without reading anything in the exam question. And that would only take you 30 minutes per question. My last certification exam I took was CPMA, and it had 200 questions on it, and you know, around 60 of those questions are chart audits where you have a full chart you've got to audit, and they come with 3 questions each. I did 100 questions in 2 hours and 5 minutes. That means I didn't read anything. I didn't read the question. I went straight to the answers, looked at the available answers, did the process of looking for similarities, and got my answers down to just a small difference. And then if you wanted to, look up your differences between the 02 and the 20, and then look for that difference in your exam question. You do not have time to look up everything and to prove to everybody that you are a very good medical coder and you know what you're doing. You need to take this exam like you're a very good exam taker and you know what you're doing as far as exam taking. All right, if we are doing a cardiac stress test, we got 3 answers that are 16 and 1 lonely answer that is a 15. A lot of times they try to push you into picking an answer by putting one answer in there 3 times and then adding a bunch of fluff into it, but you never know. If we just go to our 930, 15, and 16, we can see what our differences are. Then we can pick out our correct answer. All right, so these codes do have, where's my camera? So this set of codes does have a set of codes for interpretation only or supervision only. What does that tell you? That tells you that you would never use a modifier for interpretation only because the codes have a code for it. If you see codes underneath a mama code that are for anything that would be modifier related, like unilateral, bilateral, with radiation, without radiation, even interpretation or supervision or tracing only, then that means those modifiers associated with these kinds of things would not be used on this code set. So you know B in this exam question is a coding irregularity, sorry, I grabbed the wrong one, for, move the video, there we go. So for this coding set, you know B is an incorrect answer because we have a set of codes for just supervision and interpretation. So that helps you get down to at least a 75%, percent. At least you're not 1 of 4 correct answers, you're down to 1 of 3. Now you got better odds. Hey, Twinkle. Good to see you. Oh, I love the little, they don't have hearts anymore. What have we got? We got batons or something? What is that when you tap the screen? That is crazy. That's something new. Somebody's calling me instead of texting me. How rude. Just text me. me catch up with chat and see what's going on with that. Good explanation, Nanners. What does AAPC new exam look like? I received a message from Pocket Prep and they stated there was a new exam and the old one will discontinue on 6/19. It's not, I've got inside my YouTube membership, I've been showing off what the new Pocket Prep looks like, but it's nothing fancy. It's still just Pocket Prep. So if we go there and go to Pocket Prep, I've already corrected all the E&M questions for this year. In integumentary, there's 2 questions that are the same, but musculoskeletal, I got them to fix that one. We're going through the cardiovascular right now for the new exam for 2025, but they're nothing fancy. It still looks like the same old Pocket Prep, so this is what the questions look like for the new exam already. And then we've got the new, they're just making sure that the rationale is in the 2025 book and what page number it's at in the 2025 books. If you actually have the 2024 books, you can leave the exam the way it is until June, whatever, if you want to. But if you already have the new books for 2025, then you can update your exam questions to the 2025 version. That way your rationale will tell you what page numbers to look at in the book that you have. That's all that's going on with Pocket Prep. But we've been going through them all and making sure that they're all correct and they have good rationales and they're good questions. And we've only done 123 so far out of all 750. I have to do all of them to be able to review them, so we're working on it. We're just playing around with them right now, but nothing bad with Pocket Prep. It's all good. It's just if you want the page numbers to be in the 2024 book or in the 2025 book. And that link is still available on my website if you guys want it. All right. Where is, here, there we go. Yep, a lot of the exam questions come from your CPT book. You only have 3 questions out of 100 from your HitPix book, and then 5 questions for ICD-10. The rest is all CPT. Everybody got C as the answer for this one. All right, what about this one? What would you pick as the answer if you were doing this question? Our first are the same. B and C have the same second number, so it's just a difference between your 16 and your 10. 16 is in one of our throwaways, so I would assume B is my correct answer, and then I would move on to my next question. But you guys work it out, look in your books, let me know what you think. 6, 3, 6, 2. Ooh, these codes are on the certification exam. Be sure you got your differences down. We're intravenous. I want to know if you know your guidelines over here about whether you can add radiology or not. We've got some image guidance alerts down here in your parentheticals underneath, letting you know which 7,000 codes to add. Yep. How do you spot B so fast without assuming D is your answer? Because the second code in all of the answers are not the same. The second code in answers B and C are the exact same. So looking for similarities in your answers. Even AAPC mentions this on their website. If two answers are the same, which is exactly what's going on with B and C, with one minor difference, and the only difference is right here between the 10 and the 6, or whether you add that 50 modifier or not. If you know that, then you know the answer. This is because this is unilateral and this is bilateral procedure. We would never add this 50 modifier to this to make it bilateral because we have a code that assigns us bilaterality, and they're just wanting to know, do we know that particular information? That's what the whole question is about. And I know from a pattern of taking AAPC practice exam questions since 2019 all the way to 2025, every day of my life for 6 years now, they have a pattern to all their questions. And if they start out with the same answer and there's just a tiny little difference between two answers, then I totally ignore any other answers like A and D. And I know my difference is just about this. What's so special about these codes? What's going on with these codes? And if you go look those up, you will notice that this one's like unilateral, this one's bilateral. We would never add that 50 modifier to it because we have a code for that set. So anyway, it's just a pattern I see. I don't know if it's my autistic or whatever brain that sees patterns, but that is why 16 is just totally different. This one's the 25 is the same. I keep studying to be familiar as I can and study and practice, and it just seems overwhelming. What do you mean by studying? Oh yeah, overwhelmed by the information. Yeah, so if you're like like in your course or something and you're trying to read all this mess or watch all those videos, overwhelming is extreme. This is just a lot of information. Or if you're in a course and they're providing all these PDFs and stuff, yeah, so overwhelming. It's just too much information. It really is. But what you can control is learning how to be a good exam taker and practicing exam questions and focusing on that is a smaller chunk of information. All the information that is inside those courses or study guides is all going to change when you get a real job based off their own guidelines. So you're going to have to learn more information later on. And your main focus is completing in one exam that's 120 seconds per question. That's the whole goal of all of this. And the fastest, most efficient way possible without driving yourself insane is to focus on becoming a really good exam taker. Focusing on the available answers only. Don't read the questions. Look for differences between the answers after you look for the similarities. and then go read those code descriptors or headers for those two different codes. Focus on the tiny important stuff right here. And then, oh, that's the difference right here in this question, is that they only wanted to know, did we know about this code set has a unilateral or bilateral? The only thing they wanted to know about this question right here is, did we know that they have codes here for breaking up the code? Like most of our CPT codes in radiology or cardiology or wherever, they include supervision by the physician, interpretation by the physician to write a report, and the surgery. But this set of codes does actually break up the codes. The first code is for all-in-one, and then the second and third and fourth codes after that do break up the code into smaller components. Do we understand that? That's all that question is about. Just focus on becoming a really good exam taker and leave the rest behind. It'll make it less stressful for you for sure. All right, for this question, what do you guys think is the answer? If I'm looking for just similarities, you know it's just B and D, right? And then that difference is between the 24 and the 32. Well, 24 is in a couple of answers. 32's not in any of the other answers. So you know your answer's probably B. Just not even reading anything. 30 and 30 are in two answers. And then the second code is a 24 or a 32. 32 isn't in any other answer, but 24 is listed in a couple of answers. So I would pick B and move on to the next question. It might be a fancy case that's several pages long, but I wouldn't read none of it because it's just going to get confusing. And the rules change in medical coding based off the health plan, based off the insurer, based off your employer. They all make up their own rules. Nothing's universal. So learning all this stuff, I don't know, it's just going to change. Learn to be a good exam taker. That's less overwhelming. At least gives you something to focus on instead of trying to grasp all these rules that are going to change. Learning how to use your book and learning the differences between some of the verbiage in the book is really handy. Like knowing when codes are split up, when you would not add modifiers, when you times codes, when you put the code down twice, which ones you can add modifiers to, which ones you can't. That's way more productive. But it still rules that when you get into the real life, Medicare doesn't accept those modifiers. Medicare won't let you times those codes. Medicare only wants these modifiers. The payer only wants these codes. It's still a nightmare once you get out there, but at least you'll have policies and procedures, and it will be a trainable situation that they have to train you on because of your area and your business practices. So that's the cool part. At least you'll get training on it. And you might as well learn it when you're getting paid to learn it there. Indeed, Tanya, B is the correct answer. It is. right, with the process of looking for similarities, irregularities. It's a little tougher when there is just one code, right? But you do have two codes that have the 2 in it, right? Only difference is a 0 or a 5. That at least gets me down to a 50-50 shot of the correct answer. I would ignore A, and I would ignore D. I would run to 366, 20, and 25. Go see what my differences are between those codes. Lord help. You got to be faster at it than I am. Here we go. All right. One of them, both of them are arterial. One's percutaneous and one's a cut down. What did we do? We did a cut down. That's it. Having those one-word differences written in your manual prior to your exam is really helpful, for sure. I color code, so everything that is pink is centrally inserted. Everything that's purple is tunneled. Everything that's venous is blue. Anything that's arterial is red. So I know all these are all venuses, venuses. These are all arterial. So it tells me what to look through the exam questions. If I have like 2 answers over here and 2 answers over here, I know what I'm looking for. These are centrally placed. This set is peripherally placed. That's my difference that I'll look through the exam question. That's why I've got all these color codes. Orange is for non-tunneled, so if there happens to be anything that's non-tunneled, that's what the oranges are for. The rest of the purples are for all tunneled. So if 2 of my answers are non-tunneled and 2 of them are tunneled, I know that's my one difference I'll look through the exam question for. Anyway, back to these. Tunneled means we didn't plow through somebody's skin to put in that catheter, right? Or did we rotor through there and do tunneling? They also have definitions, like what does it mean if you were peripherally inserting a catheter? It's all in your guidelines right before you code a section. They'll tell you what the definitions are. There's peripheral, then there'll be a central, there'll be a tunneled. They'll have all those guidelines right before you code them. This is what a central line looks like and how you put it in. All that kind of stuff. You just need to know where to look for it. But it's right before you start coding a set. All right. What do you guys think the answer is for this one? If we're just looking for similarities, you know 2 of them are 71, and then it's just whether you're adding radiology or not. That's all. Most of the time you don't. 365, 71. It's right here. What does our parentheticals and stuff tell us to do? if our venous access is peripherally inserted, what do they tell you right here, those guidelines that I just pointed out about peripherally inserted? What's right there in the paragraph right above? It tells you what radiology codes to add to those code sets, right? Yes, the notes are available to be purchased, yes. On my website, under Medical Coding by Jen, yep. That just looks horrible. There we go. B is our answer because we used fluoroscope guidance, and they tell you in that code set right there, right before you code peripheral venous catheters, that if you are going to insert with radiology, here's your codes, right? These codes do not include radiology. If you are going to add them, add fluoroscope, then you need to add your radiology. You see in my notes right there, I add in right underneath the codes, okay to add 77001 26 modifier if fluoroscope was used. Moving those guidelines that are written out and then moving it to the codes is really helpful, because a lot of times you don't have time to come back here and read this and this during an exam question. But moving it to the code right there where I have it written underneath the code, real helpful. And even just doing AAPCs or Pocket Preps practice questions, or the ones in all my videos, you'll find these guidelines and alerts that you could add to the codes in your book. Even if you don't know where the guideline is inside the CPT book, you can still go to the correct answer right here, and you can write in next to it, okay to add 77001 with the 26 modifier if fluoroscope is used, just like I did. And eventually, you keep practicing these questions, you'll eventually start finding where they tell you in these manuals that you can use fluoroscope with these codes. You might not see it at first. Don't get discouraged. Keep writing the notes next to the codes that it affects. And as the years go by and you keep practicing and playing with these codes, either as a medical coder or biller, you'll find it. It's in there. It's just, it's not the most friendly book written. So when I'm looking at this one, 3 is in all of them, 6 is in all of them, 8 is only in 3 of them, and then there's 2 3s in 2 of them. So I would eliminate D and I would eliminate A just off of that numerical pattern. My difference that AAPC is wanting me to let them know that I know the difference of is just that small difference between the 1 and the 2 here, between those 2 CPT codes. So I'm going to go look up what the codes are for 36832 and 31. What's my differences? One of them's a repair revision. One of them's an ectomy. There's, in the front of your CPT book around XXII, there is a list of the suffix endings of procedures where it tells you what a ostomy is, or ectomy, or otomy, or plexi, or plasty. That is a really helpful page that gets you familiar with the different types of endings of words and tells you what the meaning is. Did we just do stitches? Did we make an opening? Did we remove something? Knowing that and where that's located during your certification exam is super helpful, and it helps you practice. Oh, yay! That's awesome, pretty girl. She bought the membership on my website, and now she's passing her practice exam questions with 80s and 90s. That's awesome, pretty girl. Thank you so much for saying so. What she's talking about over on my website, if we go back over there to the internet and we go back to my website, if you purchase one of these memberships, one of them, like this first one right here, the Goose, is just for the practice exam questions. This one is for risk adjuster, and then this one is for Practicode in case you do all the Practicode ones. But the first one, the Goose one, right here is access to all these pages right here, and that gets you access to all the practice questions. So if you go there, like for cardiology, you've got all these practice exam questions. There's extra PDFs here that you can download too. These are free, extra fluffy stuff that I found over the internet. Like how do you do a tissue ablation slideshow is right there. There's all kinds of stuff right there for cardiovascular. But you just click on what you think the answer is, and then it'll tell you what the answer is. There's also like some other stuff. You just keep going. There's a ton of stuff here. This is just cardiovascular. It's a lot of practice exam questions. I also have some peripheral coding guides that you can download, but there's also some anatomy. You know, you just put in where you think things are and hit the check, and it'll tell you whether you're correct or incorrect, which is kind of cool. You got some patient charts. You can fill in the blanks in the patient chart where you think the vocabulary goes, and it'll tell you whether you're wrong or right, which is kind of cool. These are flashcards with correct multiple choice answers, and yeah, pretty cool. But tons of little stuff that you guys can play around with, plus practice exam questions. That's what she's talking about. You just click on what you think the answer is, and it'll tell you whether you're correct or wrong, no matter where you're at. I'm always trying to add more questions to it. And anyway, that is what she's talking about. Back to this one. Let's see what our answer happens to be about. Three, 6, 8s. 3, 2, and 3, 1. My notes are not located in that membership. Yeah, that's a good question. My notes, that's just practice questions. If you just wanted practice questions and bonus PDFs that I've downloaded off the internet, my notes are inside the, let me move this thing out of the way. Whoops. Yeah. My notes are inside the shop. So those are inside the shop. Practice. Yep. And they're separated by categories. Like these are CPT notes. And then these are the ICD-10 notes. These are the replay workshops. And this is like practice exam questions area. All kinds of stuff. but yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, notes are separate. Those take way too long to do, to be added in for $7, you know. All right, where is our practice questions for today? Yeah, we got 30. Everybody got B with this one? medicalcodingbyjen.com. Same as my bio name right there. medicalcodingbyjen.com. All right, this one. What do you guys think is the correct answer without doing anything? If we look, 3 is the same, the 6 is the same, 2 is the same, the 4 is the same, then we've got 3 of them with the 5 is the same. That would eliminate D for me. Then as far as my second codes go, only one answer has radiology as a secondary code. I would get rid of that. And then every single answer has the 36 in it. Every single one of them. Whether it's the second code or the third code, every single one of them has the 36 in it. So that would tell me that B is my correct answer. I would pick that and move on to my next question without reading anything. But if nothing else, you could go look up your differences between your 51 code and your 36 code, see which one is correct, and then pick your answer. But be careful because 36 is listed here. Did you do 3 procedures? Did you do 2 procedures? This is just if I was doing the process of elimination and looking for similarities and picking out my answer. That's how I would do it. Hey Island Mountain, how are you doing? Sorry, Davis, if I didn't get to your message. I'm biting the bullet and trying my first attempt this Saturday. Oh, how exciting, Tarantino. Oh my gosh. You're taking it at a testing center. Good. There will be a proctor watching you, so that's cool. You don't want to take anything to chance for the internet. That's awesome. So they'll just make you keep your water bottle and all that stuff and your car keys, put it all in a locker, and then go take your test. You can get up and go to the bathroom, whatever you want to do later, you know, during your exam if you need to, but yep. I just finished the CPC practice exam and I finished with all 50 questions. Thank you. And I had 35 minutes to spare. Woohoo! Great job, Tink Baker. That's awesome. Sometimes, if it has writing on it, it depends. You know, I've had drinks on my desk when I take it. It just depends. Depends on the person who is overseeing your exam. Sometimes they don't allow you to have it, especially if it's their computer equipment. They don't want anybody spilling water on their keyboard, messing it up. You know, you're renting somebody else's stuff and then you're going to try to bring liquids near it. That's not a good idea usually. Sometimes people just drop the water bottles on the keyboard without spilling anything. Just the damage alone from, you know, being hit from a high altitude by something dropping can affect it. So a lot of testing centers have those kind of rules in place. But you could get up and leave your desk in the exam and go get a drink and go get a bathroom break and go back to the desk. You're taking yours in July. That's awesome. Taking yours in August to September. Great. Did everybody get B on this one also? Let's do this one. It's another case. May have a couple of pages with it. But what do you guys think is the correct answer just by looking for similarities, irregularities, that kind of stuff? You can see that B and C have the same answer starting out. Even the second code is the same, and the modifiers. Your only difference is whether you are utilizing the 356 code or a 33510 code. Did you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, so they both have 4 procedures listed. James. C has a code in it that isn't in any other answer. B has codes in it that are in different answers. So I like B. I would pick B because C has a code in it that isn't in anything else, which is that 5500 code. B has the 17 code, which appears in D. It also has the 56 code, which appears in D. So just based off that, I would pick B and move on to my next question. Anyway, if you guys want to look up the codes and the differences, try to drive yourself crazy. Here's the rest of the exam part of the case. That's page 2. We'll have page 3. There's 3 pages to this case. You want to drive yourself insane looking for proximals. Left anterior descending arteries. Obtuse marginal artery. Very nice, very nice. Obtuse. Love that word. Circumpledged sutures. Nice. All right. What do you guys think? You're having trouble understanding the neoplasm table. The one inside the ICD-10 book? Is that it, Shay? I like this method. I've been driving myself crazy. Right, Mike? Just stop that. Okay. We can go over the ICD-10 one. So this answer was B. I gotta do something here. Choose the objects that have fins. Good Lord, I can't see a dang thing. Where's the fish? Okay, there's one, and there's the other one. Oh my Lord, TikTok, you crazy. All right, ICD-10. Neoplasm table. I did a class last night on cardiovascular and ICD-10 codes, but there was a couple of cases with neoplasm. I think I'm trying to bring one up so that I can do one that's neoplasm. Okay. So and let me change this to cardiovascular lessons. So, whoops. If we were doing this lovely case that is super difficult, you have a cardiac tamponade secondary to malignant infusion due to the pericardial metastasis from a lung. What would be the answer? And how would you get to that? And how would you find it without A, B, C, or D? And this is what the AAPC courses have you do and stuff, so that's real fun. It gets crazy. So, what's our first disease? What is our first disease? And I know it's really probably very difficult for you guys on TikTok to see that, but I am live on YouTube if you guys want a better screenshot of this or whatever. But the diagnosis is right here. I'm highlighting it in the dark. It says cardiac tamponade secondary to malignant infusion due to the pericardial metastasis from the lung. Our first disease, what do you guys think? My CRC I did not pass, got a 66. That's really close. You're 4 questions away from passing it. That's really good. Hey, Kenesha. Girl, I see you doing those email practice exam questions. That's great. You keep it up. So if we're doing this, our first diagnosis might be this tamponade, right? Let's go into our alphabetical index and look that up real quick. It's T-A-M. If we look at tamponade, that's in here. It says tamponade heart. Your diagnosis code is I31.4. It's the only one there. We don't have to index far or anything like that. If you're in the 2025 AAPC ICD-10 book, you're on page 340, first column. And that word is right there. So our first diagnosis, or one of them, I don't know which one will go first, but the first one that I could find is I31.4 for that tamponade thingy. What would we do about the rest of this? Secondary malignant effusion due to pericardial metastasis from the lung. That's where we need to go, the neoplasm table, right? Our neoplasm is one of our indexes. We have 4 of them up here. We have the drug one, we have the neoplasm one. This is the alphabetical index is our first one. And then we have the neoplasm. Then we'll have a drug one, and then we've got, that's the drug one, and then we have are external causes. And that is our external causes. So we got 4 indexes up here. But neoplasms is what she wanted to know, to ask about. In this table, everything is a neoplasm. Whether it's tumor or whatever, it's just neoplasm. Everything is neoplasm. And you just got to find your body part. And that's what this column is for. This column is if it is primary malignancy, it is bad stuff and it's malignant. And your diagnosis would be here. Like if you've got abdomen primary malignancy, your code would be C76.2. They've got abdominal cancer and it's primary and non-specific for sure. If they had metastatic cancer that went to the abdomen, then they'd be the second column, which is the malignant secondary, and that would be the C79.8. And the little dash that's right after that one, the little tiny line, that means you've got an extra code you need to add to the end of it. Usually it means right, left, unilateral, bilateral, whatever. But there'll be something that we need to go to the tabular list at that C79 point whatever, 8. We'll need to go there and add one more code. Cancer in situ is our third column over here. That's an encapsulated cancer. It's usually in the D section. It means the cancer isn't a tissue invasive. It's still stuck in its little ball, kind of like a cyst, but it's not invading anything. It's just in situ. It's inside itself. If it's benign, we're column 4. If it's uncertain behavior, it's column, whatever this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the last one is unspecified behavior. And that's the one we mostly use if we don't have pathology. If we cut something out today and we send it out today, that's usually what we bill until the pathology report comes back. And then we can say whether it's benign or malignant or metastasized or whatever. So for this lovely case that we have right in front of us, what body part are we going to look up right here under the word neoplasm? Anybody know? Miss Shea Butter, you were the one asking for this. So if we have cardiac tamponade, which is secondary due to malignant effusion due to pericardial metastasis from the lung, what body part are we looking up? Malignant effusion to the pericardial. What does that mean? Heart, yeah. So let's go down the neoplasm table till you find the word heart. If you're in the aapc, ABCD, ICD-10 book for 2025, you're on page 367, and heart is up here in the second column. And is the heart the primary malignancy or is it secondary? Based off of our chart up here, it says cardiac tamponade secondary to malignant infusion due to pericardial metastasis from the lung. So our heart, is that primary or secondary? Good job, it is secondary. So we pick the second column, C79.89. C79.89. There you go. And then if you wanted to, oh yeah, we got to do our last neoplasm. What is the other body part that we have another neoplasm to? That was, what other body part? Let's see. Cardiac tamponade secondary due to malignant effusion due to pericardia metastasis from the lung. There we go. Yep, we need to look up neoplasm of the lung. So let's just go look up the word lung. That gets us to page 368 if you're in the 2025 AAPC ICD-10 version. Lung is right here. Then we just need to remember which column we're looking up. We're looking up primary or secondary, in situ, benign, uncertain behavior, or unspecified. Lung is right here. That is C34.9, right? And it's got a little dashy dash beside it, meaning we need another code to go with it. That means mostly, like I said, right or left, right? How many lungs do we have? Let's look in this patient's chart and see, do we have a right or a left? Which lung was this in? Doesn't say. So our digits would either be a 0 unspecified, a 1 for right, a 2 for left. So this is unspecified, so we just add a 0 to the end. And it tells you in your alphabetical index, if you actually go back here to the C, or the tabular list, I'm sorry. If you go back to C34, 34.9, right there, you've got 3 options. You can do 9-0, unspecified, 9-1, which is the right lung, 9-2 is the left lung. And knowing little tips like that a lot of codes, the number 1 is for right, number 2 is for left, number 3 is for bilateral, or 0 is unspecified. That's super handy dandy to know, but irregardless, when you get back here, you'll know you have to pick one of those differences. But that's how you use the neoplasm index. And it just takes practice, but hopefully that helps out and answers your question. We'll get back to our practice questions. It is quite complicated, but I will have to practice more. But you did help a lot. Aw, that's awesome. It answered mine. Thanks, Marlene. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. I hate it when you get to something like coronary artery disease and then it tells you to go look up some sort of stupid ischemia crap, and then you get there and then it tells you to look up something else. Those are frustrating, but you know, it's all part of it. If I go to CAD in my alphabetical index now, I have written in the correct diagnosis, so I don't have to go to that ischemic crap or the arthrosclerosis. I just write it in where disease coronary artery is at. That way I don't have to fiddle fart with going from one place to another place to another place. So that may help you in your studies too. Don't forget to mark up your alphabetical index if you need to. For this question, what do we think our answer is? You know, it's got to be one of those 60s. We just need to know whether we are adding a 26 modifier or a secondary code to this situation. So 934. Got a lot of do nots with these. What kind of code is our 93566? That is an add-on code, so it would be one that we could add if we did it. It does have the plus symbol in front of it. Yeah, B or D. What's your differences between your 65 and 66? If your cardiologist is doing the catheterization, but they are also acting as a radiologist, and they are interpreting the radiology, what do they get to add to their CPT codes? Just knowing that, who's performing it and what doctor hats do they have on is super helpful. So is a cardiologist a radiologist? Or do they need to have special training and become both? If they are doing two different types of specialty, then they do get to add that 26 modifier. Yep. So B would be your answer. Yep. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for tapping the screen and doing all the shares. Keeping TikTok happy. What do you guys think is the answer for this one? We've got 36901s, just our differences between our 02 and 05. 369s. Our 01 is a needle with with contrast and radio. What did we do today? So, the 05 is under the parent of 04, but the 01 and the 02 are under the parent of 01. So make sure you understand those differences really well. O1 is done with a needle or catheter, where O4 and O5 are done with a under the skin machine. You need to know what your acronym PTA means. Little help is peripheral. Our O1 is diagnostic, meaning we don't know what we're doing. We're going in to go do a look-see. O2 means we're doing a angioplasty. Would you code an O1 with an O2? Are these codes that you would code with another code? Would you code an O1 with an O5, which is a child code from another parent? Or would you code a child code and its parent in these code situations? You know that your O1 or your O2 and your O3 include everything in the CPT code descriptor that the O1 has in it, up into the semicolon, which is the entirety of the CPT code descriptor. So B absolutely has to be a coding irregularity, something you wouldn't do. O5 is not an add-on code, so we couldn't add it on to another parent code. So that looks like a coding irregularity to me too. So your only difference is between the O2 and the O5. The O2 is the cheaper of the two procedures, just because it's a smaller number. Your differences between the O5 and the O2 are your parents, which is the O4 and the O1. The O5 uses injectables to break up blood clots. What does everybody think is the answer? Yeah, D and B are coding irregularities. You would not code those together. Good job, Christy and Jackie. Perfect. Okay. I don't know why. Maybe I need to reboot my computer, but it is not letting me give out YouTube memberships. it's only allowing me to add a super chat or a super sticker, and that would not help you guys. It would only help me. I've had to do this once before, and all I had to do was reboot my computer, but that is so unhelpful. And I don't want to reboot my computer right now. I'm trying to give out some YouTube memberships. Let me see. Why won't it do that? That is so frustrating. I hate that. Try to refresh this. Pop out chat again. Let's see if this helps. No, it doesn't. I don't know why, but it won't let me give out YouTube memberships today. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why. That's so frustrating. I hate that. Who is that? Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much for all the gifts over there on TikTok. All right, back to our practice question. Our answer is definitely C for this one. It's our cheaper of the two options. Knowing that a PTA is your percutaneous transluminal angioplasty helps you out a whole bunch. Who is that? Twinkle gave out 5. Girl, thank you. She gave out 5 to Mary Ellen, Kristen, Elijah, Holly, and PPPO. Congratulations, guys. Thanks so much, Twinkle. I don't know why mine won't. It only gives me the option for super stickers or super chat. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've seen it once before, but I don't know why. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. You guys get a free month of all my exclusive content on YouTube, which is super helpful. Don't forget to check out the podcast and all the different spots on the YouTube channel. Let me show you guys real quick. On the YouTube channel, if you guys are there, you can go to the shorts, and that's all the practice exam questions that are like small little short videos. Those are great. If you go to the header, you know, home is where they land you. And then the next word is videos, and then the next word is shorts. The next one is lives. That's where all my live videos are from the last, 3, 4, 5 years. If you go to the podcast and click on that, you can listen to me read out the ICD-10 guidelines sentence by sentence and then tell you what it means in layman's terms. And then I have another podcast where I'm reading out the E&M guidelines right there. If you go to the playlist, that's a great way to find everything that you're looking for, like the CPT book prep and stuff like that. Just instead of clicking on the picture that says what playlist, be sure to pick on the word that says view full playlist underneath it. So like if I go to CPT book prep and instead of clicking on the picture, I click on the view full playlist, that's how you get up the full playlist. And then you can click on what chapter you want to do. If you want to do just lab and path, or if you want to do the nervous section, if you want to do the digestive system, respiratory, cardiovascular, all that kind of stuff, that way you get to see it. And then the other thing that's really cool there is if you go to the post page or community page, that's where I've got a ton of practice exam questions. You just go here. It's not a video, but it's practice exam questions. Just click on what you think the answer is, A, B, C, or D, and then it'll give you the answer and rationale. Because I'm logged on as me, you automatically get to see the answer and the rationale. But if it wasn't me being logged on, you wouldn't see that. But there's a ton of practice exam questions there. They're super helpful. But that's how you do the YouTube channel. It's really cool. Lots of stuff. Don't forget, you can go right here to the little searchy fixture right there. Click on that, and then you can just type in right next to it like process for the process of elimination, and then just hit the word enter, and it'll bring up every video that I've got with that word in it, process of elimination, and then you can watch those in their entirety all the way through. So, really cool collection of videos for sure. Alright, let me change this back to our practice questions. Alright. This one I did in a YouTube video just recently. What is included in all vascular injections? This one, in case you didn't know how to do, you could go straight to your alphabetical index in the back of the CPT book, and you can just look up the word vascular, right? Go back here to the back where vascular is at, and you can see vascular injections listed there. It'll tell you go to code 36299. Then you go to your 36299 code. And that is listed right here as an unlisted procedure vascular injection. What do you do when you get here and you need to know what your guideline is or what's going on with this? You look for your headers, right? Go backwards till you get to your blue and red headers. And look right there at your blue header, 3 pages back, it tells you vascular injection procedures. This is your guideline. Everything you need to know about all your rules and regulations, what's included in it, it's all located right before you have to code that section. So learning about your blue and red headers that are in the book and how to use them during your certification exam is super important. Anyway, there's your vascular injection. That's on page 300 of the 2025 AMA CPT book, in case you are looking for the answer. That's how you answer this one during your certification exam. And our answer is D. The last question answer was C. What do you guys think is your answer to your question right here? We've got a trans catheter placement, where can we get free CEUs apart from the monthly magazines? Good question, Mabel. I post them in our Discord study group. I've got a room called CEUs, and I post them every time I see them. You can get them from completing any courses or micro courses. You can also get them from AAPC's website. They have 4 or 5 videos that you can watch that are free, and you can get them from them. I have CEUs included in my franchise purchase. I can start giving those away with like our workshops and stuff. I just have to fill out some paperwork or something and submit it to AAPC, and then if you join in on my workshops that I do monthly, you'll get CEUs for those. But I do have a list of free CEUs listed there. You can also go to the cms.gov MLN page, which I have listed on my website. So if we go back to the internet and we go to my website, if you go to my website and you go to resources tab, let me pull this over. So if you go over here to the resources tab, drop down menu, go to the FAQs, it just says FAQ, go there. That's our Discord study group. But third sentence down, it says, where is your best free list of resources? Click that. Inside there, this sentence right here says CMS free certifications. Click that link. It'll take you to the government website. It's an MLN web-based training website. If you do any of these available free courses, which are totally free, you have unlimited attempts to take them. No one's going to keep track of you and say, oh, Sally Sue failed this 16 times and laugh at you. No one cares. It's a self-run, self-paced little things. They take about, 45 minutes to do. They have one on ICD-10 coding right here. You do any of these and get your certificate, you can submit these for free CEUs too into AAPC also. Also add these to your resume as certificates that you hold, and any employers that want to hire, they know they have to send you for fraud and abuse training no matter what, if they're going to add you into a chart, into a patient's chart. So even if you're doing billing, they have to send you for this. So if you've already done the fraud and abuse training that's listed here and add that to your resume, then if you are looking for jobs and you already have these listed, then you will look really good on for the employer, because then they don't have to pay you to send you to training. You've already got it done. So anyway, that is all available on my website. Don't be afraid to join my website. It is full of information and resources just for you guys. Totally free areas. All the CPT book, the CPT book prep videos, I've got a set of them here also that are free. The ones on YouTube cost you $5, but these are free. There's a ton of stuff here. There's a free blog. I go into job resources, into coding infusions, coding the eyeball. I've got tons of E&M resources. I've written 9-chapter book on just MDM alone. There is so much free information here on my website. It's crazy. I've spent so much time here. I've got free practice question area right there. You can come in here and download free PDFs here and do practice exam questions here. You just click on what you think the answer is and it'll pop up and tell you what the answer and rationale is. So tons of free stuff here that you guys can play and practice around on, including the $8 a month membership for just the practice question area. The shared gallery at the very, very end is nothing but my favorite pictures, like what pens do I use and all that kind of stuff. You can come there and look at all the shared gallery photographs. Also on the home page, don't forget about our Pocket Prep link. It's the shaky peel right there. Be sure and click on that. You get access to 750 practice exam questions if you use that link. It's the top link under medical, and you click on aapc cpc. You get 750 practice exam questions with answers and rationale and page numbers where the answers are for a very low price if you wanted to do that. And they do have a pass guarantee, that if you do get their membership for 3 months and you don't pass, they'll give you another membership for 3 months for free. Really cool practice question area that you can take with you and do practice questions anywhere. We love our Pocket Prep. If you wanted to know what pens do I use, that is also right here on this Amazon list. It's the other pink pill. You can click on it. It will take you to my Amazon list of everything that I use. Everything that's literally on my desk in front of me is right there on that Amazon list. So even the keyboard, to the books, to the chair that I'm sitting in, everything is here. What I use to bind up the ends of the books, everything that I've got is all right here. So super helpful in case you were looking for it. All right, back to our practice questions. How did you get so zoomed out and now look so weird? Ticky-tock. That's not helpful. All right. We got a heck of a bunch of parentheticals underneath this 37236. If you're looking in your CPT book, we've got a ton of them. And probably about 7 parentheticals down at this code, there is one that says if you're doing open or percutaneous placement of an extra cranial vertebral artery stent, that you need to go to Category 3 codes, which is your 0075T. So knowing where that parenthetical is super helpful. Then you just need to decide whether we're going to add that interpretation to that or not. And because they have the word only listed in the exam question, it means the doctor didn't supervise, did not attend, is not employed at the hospital setting, then that means they're just reading the results. That means we're going to split up that code for that procedure. The hospital will charge it doing a TC. This provider will charge it doing the 26 modifier. So D is our answer for this one. Yes, don't second guess yourself. Did you see all those parentheticals? I've never seen a code with that many parentheticals underneath it. I mean, we've got some with a bunch of them, but this set of codes has a whole lot. There's more parentheticals than there is CPT code descriptor. So, our CPT code right here has the word accept in it. So you have to get rid of all those words that are in it, because it does not include all of that. Number one, when you're prepping this book, anytime they say it's without or doesn't have, and then they proceed to write it all in there, it's very confusing. The medical way of getting rid of something in a patient's chart or whatever that shouldn't be there is to draw one line through it. So I continue that pattern in my note taking. So number one, 37236 has a bunch of crap in it that it shouldn't have in it because it doesn't include it, and it makes it unclear. This is for just a transcatheter that is intra. I go through and I highlight all my procedures, whether they're intra, extra, infra. There's a whole color code and set of it. The codes before it are trans, intra, extra. It's a color code that I do through all the codes anyway. So number one, this question was just for extra. I know I'm going to be looking for the word extra. That's one of the words that I always highlight in all my CPT codes, no matter what, because it'll be either extra or intra. So I know I'm not in these codes because they're all intra. I would need to be looking for something that's extra. And the only CPT codes they gave us for this question happen to be intra. So right away I know we're probably going to be one of those OO codes. But listed below all that is all these parentheticals. And then there is one right there that says for an open percutaneous that's extra, says we're running to those codes. Now the part about the physician. So this question says that we're in a hospital setting. That's your first clue. And that the physician is only providing supervision and interpretation. This code for this procedure, typically all procedure codes, no matter what you're doing, they include the radiology, supervision, interpretation, the doing of the procedure, the writing of the report. Everything's included in one number. You only add modifiers if you need to split up that bill. if your building is going to charge for doing the test, but then they're going to send the films to some remote island where some physician is sitting behind a computer desk, and they're just going to do the interpretation. They're not employed by this hospital because they can't afford him. But this doctor can sit at home and interpret radiations all day long for multiple hospitals and make more money if he wanted to. So the way they pay for that is they'll add modifier to this code for this procedure saying that we want to get paid for just the building having this radiological equipment, and we did it. And that's why they add the TC modifier for the building. And then the physician will add the modifier and bill for their interpretation because they were not present during the patient getting this done. They didn't supervise it. They didn't attend the appointment time, and they did not interpret the test at the same time, and they weren't employed by the same hospital. So it can't be billed all in one code. So they have to split up the payment for this particular CPT code. They're going to send a little bit to the physician and a little bit to the hospital so that everybody gets paid for doing this one procedure, and that's why we're adding the modifiers to it. So in this question, when they say the physician only interpreted, that automatically tells you we're splitting up the bill, that we are going to add the 26 modifier all the time, anytime. You see something like that, we're going to add the 26 modifier, unless, like earlier today, you actually have CPT codes that actually only do the interpretation only, and that way we don't add the 26 modifier because there's an actual CPT code that is for just the interpretation. Rewind this video if you want to see an example of that. This code set, the 0075T, does not have separate code sets for only the interpretation, so that's why we got to change it, and that's why we're going to add the 26 modifier. Anyway, I hope that helps. This pays for the physician's time, and then if we were going to pay for the hospital's time, we would actually have this modifier. And that would make the question more confusing probably for people, but anyway, I hope that helps. Alright guys, I have been chatting on for 2 hours, so before this video gets too long, I hope this has been helpful. I'll be back on Friday. We'll do 2 more hours of practice questions. I think everybody was wanting lab and path. They were wanting to do lab and path, process of elimination, looking for correct answers super fast with that area. So I'm going to try my best to get some of those questions prepped ahead of time so that we can do 2 hours on Friday. I've got a class tomorrow on chapters 3, 4, and 5 of the AAPC course, which is the ICD-10 chapters, and then on Wednesday I have a class on cardiovascular CPT codes, questions and answers. So I got to prep for those 2 classes. So I'll be back with you guys on Friday. I hope this has been very helpful, and don't forget to check out my website if you guys need any help. Got plenty of extra videos. There's support inside our Discord study group. Twinkle and Go-Kart are in there if y'all need any help. Of course, y'all can email and let me know if y'all need any help. But I hope this has been helpful. Leave me suggestions or video ideas on any of the content that's out there, so that, because that sometimes really sparks me and gets me, oh, I can make a video on that really quick. So if there's something that you need a video on, let me know. Leave me a comment on any of the videos and give me some ideas on how I can help you guys out, what other videos you need content on. And I will see you guys on Friday. I hope this is super helpful. Oh, drive them crazy. Drive them crazy. That's what they're there for. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you on Friday.